What's going on, boys and girls? It's me, Ben D PP, with a brand new episode of Ben Meet. Now, normally we'd go to introduction where I introduce my guests and we get to say hello, but truth be told, myself and my guest, second yellow card, literally just started talking straight from the off, so I didn't even get a chance to do my intro. But truth be told, I liked it that way. It was a lot more natural, a lot more fluid, and I really enjoyed it. But without any further ado, let's dive straight to this episode. Is with, of course, I personally think the best FM YouTuber out there. It is Second Yellow Card. There's more YouTubers now than ever before doing FM.
And it's great. I like seeing.
I've only done it for a year, and I took a break for a little while because of the baby. But in the year that I've done it, I've seen so many more people come in that short amount of years. Unreal, and it is good. There's some really, really good ones in there. Route 1 FM is one that I'm a big fan of.
There's a lot of people popping up that have gained huge traction lately. People like Kev and Loki Doki, who I didn't know who Loki was, and I looked at his channel and he had 5,000 subscribers. I was like, how the hell did I not know? Kev is a bit different because I've known Kev for quite a while now, because he sort of got taken into that same group that I was in. Him and people like Matt, One True Nerd.
He blew up as well, One True Nerd, didn't he? Again, he's another one that's blown up.
Yeah.
I mean, he started off doing like 1 or 2 videos a week, and suddenly he's just absolutely blown up now. I mean,
the original joke about him was that he barely put up videos at all. At one point, I think he was putting up a video every 3 weeks.
Exactly.
When I saw his channel, he had like 100 subscribers, and I really liked his content because Paul, in fact, the Northman, showed me Matt's channel like about a year or so ago, and I think he's the only person I've ever actually shouted out in a video because I just really liked what he did, and it seemed to get him started. So I'm glad with that. I mean, the same thing happened with me. I didn't get started by accident. People gave me input here and there, and I got a couple of shout outs from people that got the ball rolling, and I think that's what it's required in some ways.
A bit of a leg up.
Organically.
A bit of a leg up, as they say.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I got shouted out by a guy, I don't know if you know, oh Christ. Oh, I feel really bad not remembering his name now. Oh, bugger me.
A real big influence on your career then.
No, he was the first person that like shouted me out in any way, and he had a... Damn it. Like, back before I started doing YouTube, I only watched 2 FM YouTubers, one of which was Jack, and the other one was him, and I can't remember his damn name. He doesn't do it anymore, he hasn't for years.
So I didn't find out about FM YouTube until literally about 18 months ago. I'd watched YouTube for years.
Yeah.
But literally, I just never in a million years even thought to search for Football Manager YouTube. So I came into FM YouTube so late, it's unreal. I missed the big boom, as some people call it. Do you know what I mean? But
I don't really remember there being a boom per se. I feel like I grew, and I feel like some other people now are growing, and I feel like in 18 months to a year, a set of people will be growing by that same amount. I feel like it just takes new blood, people doing something slightly different to what. That's the reason Ben grew so much, because he did something different that no one else was doing, and people liked it. It's just, it takes that one little thing, and then suddenly there's a new kid in town that does really well, and I think that will continue to happen, and it will evolve the genre, if you like.
Do you think we're going to get more people get to the Ben level, you know, as his subscriber-wise, or do you think that's going to be harder now more than ever to do that?
I don't think you'll see many more. I feel like you'll see some more people hit the 20k sort of level, though. The sort of level that I stopped at, and the sort of level that people like Kev and Loki Doki are heading towards at a rate of knots. I think more people will get to that level because as it sort of spreads out. But I feel like the top will get further and further away.
I mean, I'm with you now. I mean, I said Loki Doki and Lelujo just fucking out of nowhere. I mean, I'd heard of Loki Doki before Lelujo. And I'd seen Loki Doki when he was in the early thousands. And then I think I heard him mention Lelujo in a video. And then I searched him and came across him. So I missed the whole Lelujo FM16 save. I didn't catch Lelujo until FM17. Do you know what I mean? So again, I missed that because all I've heard is how FM16 Journeyman save was like fucking immense. And
that's the one that sort of... I feel like each person, when they get this sort of boom, is because of one particular save that they do that just catapults them in there.
I mean, one of my questions actually is about what save do you think escalated your boom?
Oh, easy, Portsmouth.
Was it Portsmouth?
Well, I say Portsmouth was the one that got me started, and I think that was partly due to it was around the same sort of time that I obviously got those shout outs, but also I think it ranked very well when it come to YouTube searches. So for a while, it was like the #1 thing search. Like if you typed in FM or Football Manager 2015, it was the first result on YouTube and on Google. And you cannot not get success off of that if the video is even half decent. Which I don't think it was really, but at the time I suppose it might have been.
It's got a stupid amount of views on it. I mean, I think one of them's got like, let's have a look here.
I think this is my highest rated.
84,000 views, your first episode, and then 79,000 views. I mean, that's insane for a Football Manager game to have 84,000 views. It's unreal. Absolutely. You're actually raking the YouTube money with that, I'm telling you.
That's it. Like, again, another reason that I thought, there's no point in really carrying on with this because, you get some money, but it's not sustainable. Really.
The misconception, I think people think that once you get to stage you're going to be earning thousands of pounds a month, don't they? A lot of people assume that's what you're going to be getting.
I worked out, because I was talking to Golden FM about this about a year ago, and we worked out that really if you wanted to get anywhere near sort of say £1,000 a month is your target or whatever, you'd probably have to be getting about 1.2 million views a month.
Wow.
And it's just, I think my entire channel's only got about 5.
That's insane. 1.2 million views a month.
That's what I reckon was probably about. If you look at the CPMs that we were getting at the time, it might be different, it might be better or worse now, but around about 1.2 mil would get you about £1,000.
When you put it that way, that sounds insane.
Actually, it's probably better now because thanks to the shitty pound, because most of us get paid in dollars thanks to our networks, we're actually earning more money now. So in theory, it's probably more like $1 million now.
I mean, why did you start FM? Was there a reason why? Because I think you started, was it FM14 you started?
I had 2 little short saves on FM14 that I did just before it flipped over, and I only did them then because I basically was looking for something to do. I just kind of wanted something that was a bit different to kill for some free time, because my girlfriend was at uni at the time, so I didn't see her as much as I do now, and the only game I could play on my laptop because it was shit and old was FM, because FM is brilliantly optimized and will run on like a potato if you give it a chance. And when it came to, I got myself Bandicam, started doing some stuff, and I thought, I could maybe have a crack at this. So one day I just decided to do a video, and it was probably the Fulham one or whatever, because I always say this, start with the club you support, because at least you know something about them, and then you can work out other stuff later. And from there, I just did a few videos a couple of times a week. I'd make a couple of videos, and back then, because of the way I was making them, there was very little effort required to actually produce them. It was just a case of record for 10 minutes, because I wasn't even doing live com to games, because the match engine would mess up my recording because I had all the settings wrong in Bandicam because I had no idea what I was doing. So I started doing it, and eventually, when it came round to sort of FM15, it would have been at the time, I put out my Portsmouth video expecting nothing really, and I was doing two episodes a day at that point because I had 2 series running at the same time. And then eventually, once I had a couple of shout outs and more people started seeing it, it started to sort of snowball. And I think I went from like having, I remember this very vividly because it was a couple of days before Halloween. I had like 30 subscribers, and then the next day was Halloween, and I think I hit 100 subscribers on Halloween.
Wow.
And then by firework night, which is like 6 days later, it was 250. And then by the end of November, it was 1,000, and then before Christmas, it was 2,000, and it was like, where the fuck did that come from?
That's insane. That is insane. In the space of like a week alone, you'd had like 230 subscribers in the space of a week alone.
And at the time, that means more than like, those subscribers then is the most exciting thing I've ever experienced on YouTube. Because, I'm not going to... It's really nice when you go from 18,000 to 18,250 or whatever. It really is, and it's massively appreciated to everyone that did that. But nothing will ever be as good as those first subscribers, because suddenly you go, hang on a minute, people actually want to watch this. I'm sure you know what I mean by that.
What first big number for you really made you sit back and go, wow? Was it your first 200, your first 1,000, or? It
was 1,000, because I remember where I was the day it happened, because I was at my mate's flat. I went to a party, and because I was starting work with him the next week as a second job, which is why that December in 2014 or 2015, no, it would have been 2014. I was working 2 jobs and doing 2 videos a day.
Bloody hell.
Because I was trying to kill myself. So I was doing my current job, which I still do, as well as I was working as a delivery driver for a high-end wine company.
Oh, very nice.
And then obviously trying to do videos. So on my sort of days off, pseudo, I would crack out 14 videos for the week ahead. And then obviously I wouldn't have to do them then for 5 days. So, I mean, that was crazy as it was. But around that sort of time, when it happened, I remember because I just applied for a YouTube network earlier that day because the network I'm with required you to have either 1,000 subscribers or I think it was 8,000 views a month. And obviously at that time I think I'd already hit the 8,000 views a month, which is why I was already applying. But it was weird to get to that point not so quickly, because obviously I've been doing not that long, but long enough. It was just the growth once it started to grow, it grew really quickly for a bit, like crazy quickly. Never experienced anything like that. There was a time last year as well, right towards the start of the year, where I actually had probably like my best month ever, but the point is the effort and the amount of work I was putting in to get that at the time was far more than what it was when I was starting out, and it just wasn't sustainable, basically.
I mean, talking about effort, one thing that I always loved about your series journey was the intro. Your intros were always absolutely... It's like watching a film. It was like watching a film. I mean, the Wimbledon one, the Wales one, just all your intros in general were absolutely insane. I mean, how much work... I mean, I could do a 30-second intro that takes me 3 hours, and then it's crap. But yours are like mini films. I mean, how much effort and how much time goes into making those intros for you?
It depends, because with the first one I did, which was from my Paris FC save, that was the first time I ever did one of those type of intros, and obviously that's a bit different to the other ones, because the Paris FC one I created from scratch myself in After Effects a little bit, and obviously in Premiere, and that one took maybe like 2 days.
Wow.
2 days of not obviously solid, but 2 days of like...
No, of course, yeah.
So I would say toiling, but it wasn't really toiling, because I had a little bit of time in between to get that one sorted, so I didn't have to be worried about making videos at the time. I could just concentrate on making that intro. And that one took about that long. But then after that, instead of making them from scratch, I'd go and buy sort of templates, not directly what I wanted, but things that I could at least mold to my will to make it a bit easier for me. Like the most recent one I did with the comic strip stuff. I didn't have to create those from scratch. I had a template which I then filled in with stuff, changed all the colors, changed all the animations and stuff so that it looked right and timed right. But I mean, obviously that still takes a long time, particularly as you've got to render it all out constantly, and it's a huge file. But it wasn't like I was sitting there creating these files from scratch, because if that was the case, I imagine probably weeks. The amount of effort that goes into the people that make those things, I dread to think. They're certainly far more talented than I am.
But you can buy them, can't you? I think I remember an episode where you mentioned it. I think you told us 2 or 3 sites where you go from and get your interest from.
Yeah, you can get... There's Video Hive. You can go to pond5.com. Video Hive is a good one. That's the one I used mostly, but I did get a couple of stuff from Pond5 because they gave me a $50 credit, if you like. So that was useful. So I got a few things with that, and I managed to get some free stock footage, which I never ended up using because it was just like motorways and shit. But hey, I've got it just in case. And yeah, but Video Hive was the one where I got the best stuff from, because it's basically like a marketplace for graphic artists to put up their After Effects templates and all that kind of jazz. And it's just great because obviously, it's not like you can try it out or anything, but you can see exactly what you want, read reviews of it, and they're very receptive, and they're not expensive either. They're really not. Like, you look at something on a website when you don't know the price of it, and you look at that and go, that's incredibly, incredibly impressive. Like, there's somewhere you can get like 1,000 different animations and like different lower thirds and swipes and all this sort of jazz, and you'll look at the page and it's like $16. Like, for unlimited use of like 1,000 different effects, I would pay 3 times that, and I did at times because it was worth it. I kind of looked at it as an investment in that first video, because let's face it, the first video in a series is the one that makes like a lot of the revenue for the entire series. If you look at Portsmouth, and my most viewed videos are almost always the first video in a series. So I thought if I make that as good as I physically can and invest money into it, then I should be able to recoup some of that money back just from the revenue from the video. So it's an investment in, making good quality content, and that was my theory at the time anyway.
I mean, on my most popular videos, again, are always, if I'm looking now, my most popular videos are pretty much all intros. people see that first video. So you're right, the intro is always the really important one. If you get that one right, they can really kickstart your
that's the key.
Your channel. I mean, the Napoli save for me on FM16 was really helped my channel grow. I mean, I'm only on 192, but I've only really been taking it serious, shall we say, the last couple of months. I don't get as much content out as I'd like, purely because it's going to sound really, really late. I just don't get time. I mean, how other guys get a video out a day astounds me. It really does.
It depends on what else they've got on, really.
Yeah.
I mean, Jack, for example, I know the way he records is he will record huge batches. And then he won't put. Sometimes he'll take like a 2 or 3 month break from putting videos out, and during that time he'll be recording stupid amounts. At one point, I remember talking to him, and he was like 60 videos ahead of where the actual channel was on, which is why, unfortunately, like he can't take advice from anyone in the comments on his video because he's 60 fucking ahead. And I tried doing that at one point. I got about like 20 videos ahead at one point when I was doing like Red Star, and I don't know what else. It would have been Portsmouth as well. Back then, I at one point did because I had other shit to do. But it's difficult because then you feel like you're ignoring people when they say stuff in the comments.
I mean, before my daughter, not that I blame my daughter, but before my daughter, when I first started YouTube, I was recording 3 or 4 episodes at a time. And obviously now with having my child, when I get my days off, I've got my daughter all day to look after. Do you know what I mean? So I get that hour or 2 window when she's in bed for a nap during the day. And that's where I'm like, get the green screen out, try and record an episode or 2 if I can. And then I spend the evening with the wife, and then the wife goes to bed about 9 o'clock. It's right, get the green screen out, try and do a little bit of editing, try and record a video. It's just how guys, I mean, the Northman's a classic example. He's got a wife and 2 kids. He's a semi-professional football manager, and yet he's still pumping out 2 videos a day. I mean, the guy, he must not sleep. He must not sleep. I'm telling you. It's just insane. It really is. I mean, do you still play Football Manager now?
Honestly, I haven't played it since November.
Really?
Yeah, and I thought this year, like, I was a bit skeptical because of the way that they marketed it this year, and I was pretty... I thought it was a bit disrespectful the way they marketed the game this year. The way that they sort of did the whole, you can buy it cheap, but we're not going to tell you what we've done to it first. I was just like, yeah, fuck that sideways. And then when it did come out, I thought, okay, some of these features look all right. But in the end, it kind of just looked like what they did was a few cosmetic tweaks and stuff that no one really gave a fuck about, like the social feed and stuff like that. And,
you're right, though.
Like, who gives a... I mean, it is the most pathetic... Like, the code could be written easily. It's just choosing from a pool of different tweets with, like, insert name of club or manager here. And then every day you'll get, like, 1 neutral, 1 angry, and 1 happy. Done.
It's pointless. It is pointless.
It's so transparently pointless. I don't know, it's like...
It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't affect the game in any way, shape or form.
But it was the way they market. Like, you can piss on me, but don't tell me it's raining.
This was the first FM in years I haven't pre-ordered. And I didn't pre-order it.
Because I'm an idiot.
I didn't. I thought if they're not telling me what the game's like, I've got a feeling the game's going to be crap. So I waited, and also I left it till the beta came out. Saw a couple of videos on YouTube, then I bought the game then, because I thought I'm going to wait first, because if this game's a pile of crap, I'm not wasting 30 quid in a game that I'm not going to play.
I saw it as kind of like, I'd rather pay a little bit less now and be disappointed than buy it when it's out and be even more disappointed. That was the logic I followed in the end.
I got it for Christmas, so I was alright. I mean, at
the time I couldn't. I mean, actually, to be fair, last year it didn't really matter when I got the game because I wasn't making videos on it, so I was on a little bit more leeway there. I nearly didn't buy it at all, and then I got kind of into it, started blogging, did my save with Arundel, and then I just completely the floor dropped out of my interest for it. It just disappeared.
I had that in FM16 towards the end of FM16. I mean, FM16 was my least favourite FM I've ever played. I just didn't enjoy it at all. And the back end of FM16. And looking back at my videos, I can tell that my enthusiasm just wasn't there. I wasn't enjoying the game at all. I really wasn't. I think FM16 is the worst one for me that I've played in years.
I still had fun in it. There were some things in it that, I mean, some of the game mechanics are always going to be a little bit iffy. And I think we'll always, unfortunately, because we played the game so much just to make the videos, we'd find patterns and stuff. And there was things that you'd just get frustrated with because you've seen it time and time again. And it was frustrating at times, but I guess you kind of just have to put that aside and just try and enjoy what you can, and that was what I tried to do, but it just became very difficult towards the end.
Agree on with you. I mean, in regards to, I mean, I don't know what you're like in terms of, I don't know if you're very critical of yourself, but when you look at yourself as a content creator, which you still are, what do you see as your good and your bad points? You've all got them. So do you look at yourself and think, right, I'm good at this, but I'm bad at this?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you don't, then you're kidding yourself, because you won't improve unless you can look at your own faults. Like, obviously, you'd get them pointed out to you on a daily basis, which is fun, I must say.
I haven't got to that stage yet. I'm alright. I haven't got to that stage yet, so I'm alright.
Honestly, I'd rather stay there.
I think I'm there. I assure you,
it's the worst.
I've had people accuse me of cheating on Twitter. I've had that. I've had people going.
You're not on FM YouTube unless you've had that.
Because obviously
that's like a Medal of Honor.
My little town said I got back-to-back promotions. I got, you must be cheating. How could you? I can't even get into the playoffs. I'm like, I'm lucky. I've done it.
I'm trying really hard. Like, how about that?
I don't want to lose. I don't know. It might make. I mean, when I lose and I watch the videos back, I want to slash my wrist. It's just so depressing. And that's where I go. I hate this game. And it may look funny for the viewers, but when you're playing it, it's just awful.
I used to get a lot of criticism for that, like particularly back on Portsmouth. When I'd lose or when something was going a bit wrong, I would be the first to call bullshit, and people would go mental. They're just like, Matt, it's not bullshit. You just lost. And I'm just like, and eventually I did try to sort of control myself on that and started to taper my emotions a little bit off. Because I just felt like I'd rather be a little bit more neutral than as extreme as perhaps I was. And it wasn't like an act I was putting on or anything. It's just I learned to develop a sort of on-screen persona, if you like, that's more exaggerated than perhaps my normal. And I feel like if you don't do that, you're missing out, because YouTube is a microcosm of personality, where if you go in being yourself, that's fine, and you will get somewhere if you're a likable person who can talk. But if you the way I look at it is you should be yourself plus 50%. So if you're happy, be a little bit happier. Yeah. Just a little bit more exaggerated with your personality than normal, just because it comes across better, I felt.
I mean, in my first few videos, I sound suicidal. I sound so depressed. And you're right.
You heard mine? I mean,
I rewatched your Fulham save last week, and I thought, bloody hell, this is not the same guy that I fell in love with on YouTube.
Trying not to, because basically I recorded that sitting on a bed with a laptop on my lap, holding my blue snowball microphone in my hand.
If you're John Watson.
Yeah, it was exactly like that as well. And the thing is, every time I had to sort of smack my lips, because I used to do that, I'd have to pull the microphone away from my hand and then put it back in again. It was just the worst.
See, when I started, I had a £20 headset that I bought from Amazon, and the audio, oh my god, the audio was awful. And the most comments I ever got was literally on my early videos going, oh my god, your audio was so bad, get a decent mic.
And I always used to preach this, like, before you do anything else, get a microphone and learn how to use it.
No, you're right. I agree.
And I should have done that early on, but I mean, I actually had a decent microphone when I started out because I had it from other projects. But I didn't know how to set it up properly, and there was all kinds of settings I needed to tweak. So once I did that, the audio improved, and then once I started editing my audio separately afterwards, using the stuff I'd learned from doing music mixes and things in the past, suddenly I got that kind of silky smooth sounding voice, which isn't actually my voice. It's just the effects I put on my voice makes my voice sound different, which is why I'm using the same microphone right now to talk to you than I use in my most recent video. But I bet my voice sounds way more tinny.
So in real life, have you got a really high-pitched voice in real life or something, have you?
Oh, yeah.
Like you're in helium.
I sound like fucking Joe Pasquale.
I mean, obviously, as we all know, you've quit YouTube. Do you have any plans to ever come back to YouTube? And we'll get into why you quit, but obviously, do you have any, for people who probably sit, if you go on tennis, do you have any plans to ever come back?
It's one of those things where I was thinking about this the other day. I think if I found myself in a situation where I could do that and it would just be a little fun thing I could do occasionally, I would probably come back to FM YouTube, maybe. Other YouTube, I'd be probably more likely to come back to, just because I think one of the reasons I stopped was I just wasn't enjoying making FM content anymore either. And at the time, I just wasn't enjoying making anything. But for a few months afterwards, every time I think about coming back again, I would think, but then I have to play FM. And at the time, it just made me completely switch off. And obviously, there's much more contributing factors to the reasons I stopped, but that was just one of them. I was burned out on playing the game. I've been doing it for so long and playing, and just it was in your head all the time. You'd always be thinking about stuff like that, and it messes with you a little bit. And it wasn't for me. And I think, yeah, maybe one day I'd do a couple of videos a week, maybe, but no time soon. There's a whole lot of things in my life that are not in a position where I can really do that at the moment. But I think like I'd be more likely to come back to YouTube in a different form, in a totally different format, with a completely new channel at some point. Probably more likely than to come back to this channel.
So you start a new channel as well? If you ever come back, you'd start a whole new channel?
If I was going to put more FM videos, then no, I'd just put them straight back on this channel. But if I was to come back, yeah, I would. And I wouldn't like promote it using my second yellow card channel, at least not immediately. I'd like to try and grow something organically again, because I feel like if I can do it once, I can potentially do it again in a different niche, maybe. I don't know. One that, you know, maybe has more sustainability, perhaps, for a long-term growth. I don't know. It's just one of those things where I would potentially come back in that form, but I wouldn't talk about it on any of my socials. I'd keep it to myself and try to grow it naturally, you know?
I mean, playing Football Manager, for me, I do miss computer games. I don't play computer games at all anymore. I just don't get time. You know, yeah. When I took that break with my daughter being born, I got to play the computer, obviously, because I've been the Xbox. I'd never, ever go on my Xbox anymore, or I don't play my other computer games. Assassin's Creed, literally my favourite game of all time, I never get to play it anymore. And because I don't get time. If I'm not playing FM, I'm having to edit videos. If I'm not editing videos, I'm doing the e-gaming league that I run. I just don't get time anymore to play computer games, and that's why when I do take breaks, I do enjoy the breaks. I get to go back and play computer games that I haven't done. And I'd like to one day, like Dr. Benji's done now in the TV channel, I'd like to do other games that I can actually sit back and enjoy. And there's a guy that I know called DMG, Dark Moon Gaming, and he's burnt out of Football Manager as well. He's had enough of Football Manager, and he couldn't find a save that he enjoyed. So he's basically sat Football Manager altogether. He's now doing different saves. So he's done a Fallout 4 save. He's also got a Broken Sword save that he's doing. So I'd like to think that one day I can get to that stage where I can do other videos, but I don't know if I'd do a new channel or not. I'm too scared to start all over again.
I feel like, yeah, I mean, I was a little bit apprehensive about that, but I kind of like to use the logic that if you can do it once, you can do it again. I know that's not completely flawless in any way. That's very flawed, in fact, because, you know, circumstances, it might have just been that I might have been okay for the niche I was in, and maybe it wouldn't apply to something else, but I don't know. I would like to think that people subscribe to me not just because I was doing FM video. I like to think, this is probably not even true, that people liked me as well as that.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
I'd like to think that's the case. I don't know if that is actually the case, but in my head, I put that forward as a reason, perhaps, why. I don't know. Actually, I don't know.
I mean, do you want to dive into why? I mean, I know you mentioned it. Do you ever want to dive into maybe tell people a little more detail why you dropped out of YouTube altogether?
Yeah, we can do that.
So what happened? Obviously, I know you had your FC Midland save, which I absolutely loved, by the way. The whole concept of it was great. And obviously, you did your announcement saying you were dropping out of YouTube. Do you want to go into a little more detail and tell us what happened?
Yeah, so I mean, this is a long-ass story because, I mean, this started like nearly a year before that. Back when, pretty much right when I started my Paris save, to give you an idea. And at the time, I'd only been doing YouTube for maybe 7 months when this all went down. And I remember the Sunday that the Paris save was going to come out. I'd obviously done all the work during the week, and I'd been feeling kind of like I had flu-like symptoms all week, and I'd been on the night and day nurse, you know how it is.
Yeah.
Just trying to keep it under control. And I was still feeling a bit dodgy on the Sunday, feeling a bit like I had a temperature or whatever, but stuff happens. And then the week kind of went on, and I was still feeling a bit flu-y, and then it kind of cleared up, and I was like, good stuff. And then the following Monday comes around, and I woke up in the morning, took my girlfriend back to uni, and then as I was driving home, I realised that I couldn't really see properly, and I felt like there was all this pressure around my eyes.
Oh, wow.
Like I was sort of, not like tunnel vision, but not tunnel vision at the same time. Like very tired and very sort of, but I thought, oh, I'm just a bit knackered or whatever. Maybe didn't sleep that well last night. And then I noticed that throughout the day, I kind of felt the same, and it was weird. Like it was almost like I could look upwards, and I would feel like my eyebrows were sort of pushing down on my eyes, and everything was sort of a bizarre feeling. So I started to get a little bit worried. The next day, it started to get a bit worse, and I had a panic attack, and I was like, all right, got to calm the hell down here. Got to book a doctor's appointment, go see what's up with this. And then that day, or the following day, I think it was, same symptoms there. Nothing really changed, and I couldn't really understand what was going on. And then I started getting like a twitch would have been, well, my right arm. So not so much like how you might see, for example, a person with like ALS or something, you know, people that sometimes, because they've lost control of their muscles, sometimes their arms sort of spasm out. It wasn't so much like that. It was more like a fluttering. You know, sometimes when you'll be sitting in a weird position, your arm, you'll see one of the muscles start flicking or fluttering.
Yeah,
it was
right.
like that, and it was very bizarre because it kept happening in the arm. And I was starting to get a little bit worried at the time. And then over the next 2 days, the twitching and it's called fasciculation spread from my arm to my entire body. So I was then terrified because now my entire body was not all the time, but like frequently throughout the day, I'd get these little attacks where a certain muscle in my arm or leg or stomach or neck or temple or anywhere really would just start twitching incessantly for like a couple of minutes, and then it would just disappear. And there was nothing I could do to stop it. I could move my leg and it would stop, but then the moment I stopped moving my leg again, it would start twitching again. So obviously I finally managed to get in to see the doctors, and they thought I might have had a sinus infection. Not sure how that relates to the twitching, but whatever.
Sinus infection?
Yeah. Gave me some antibiotics, and then a week later I was still just as bad, so I went back to the doctors again, and he did some blood tests, and they found that my liver was a bit weird in that I had elevated, it's like transmanase levels or some crap. It's a liver enzyme. It was elevated. Now, I had glandular fever would have been 7 years ago now, but 5 at the time. So I've always been left with that sort of the destruction that causes to your immune system and your liver. And so people thought oh, maybe that was the reason or whatever, but they thought they'd send me off for some more blood tests and keep monitoring it. And it was very, very high. Like it should be like 40, I think, and mine was like 180 or something. So they thought, okay, better we refer him to like a clinic at the hospital, go take it on, see what's going on. And while all this is happening, obviously, this is when I took a break back in 2015. There was that little break in the summer. I think, it must have been, where I took like a month off of YouTube, basically, because of all this, because I was just terrified. Like at the time, because as you do, when it's been like 2 weeks of you feeling like this, you cannot help but Google symptoms.
I've done that.
And it's the worst idea in the world, isn't it?
I've done that.
Like, it's the worst. And at the time, the only things that were coming up were amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, so bloody motor neuron disease, and multiple sclerosis, neither of which have particularly good prognoses. And I was terrified at the time because, you know, everything seemed to make sense to me. You know, I was starting to get visual impairedness. My muscles were going all weird. I felt a bit weak, although that's probably because I wasn't eating very much. Didn't think that at the time, but that's probably what it was. All sorts of shit going wrong. And I think, you know, looking back now, I think some of that might have been psychosomatic because I was so scared of what the hell was going on with me. And then eventually I got referred to this liver clinic. I know this is a very long story. I did warn you.
No.
And they did some tests, and they did something called a fibrous scan, which is where they put this weird thing on your stomach and it sort of pokes you. It literally pokes you, and they're measuring to see how much of your liver is jiggling.
Oh, right.
It's to test like the density or whatever, because if you've got like loads of fat around it, it can cause issues. And so after a little while, and this all started in like April and May, and we're talking like we're now into like July and August kind of time when all this sort of stuff happened, and they diagnosed me with something called non-alcoholic steatotic hepatitis, which is basically just fatty liver disease. Because I was overweight. I was probably about 15 stone at the time, and because of the diet, I had a terrible diet probably, and a lot of my weight had clustered around my abdomen area, which is why I had a sort of still fairly thin face, but it was predominantly around my abdomen. That has a habit of causing liver disease. So they diagnosed me with liver disease, and I thought, you know what, fine. If that's what I've got, I can lose weight or whatever, and then everything will be And I was happy to have a diagnosis. And around this sort of time, I started doing YouTube again because I was feeling a little bit better now. I wasn't feeling like so shaky, and I didn't have tremors, and I couldn't even keep my hands still at one point. It was just tremoring all over the place. But that sort of stuff started to fade away, and I thought, you know what, we're getting better now. Let's just go back and do some YouTube. And I kind of just jumped back into it. And that was fine. I wasn't well, but I wasn't not well either. I was able to cope and do things again. I just wasn't particularly feeling great about it. I was sort of operating at about 50%, but after a while, when you're chronically ill, it kind of becomes the norm, so you kind of just get on with it. And then I went back to the hospital, and they were like, okay, your liver's fine now. You've lost I think at the time I'd lost 2 stone, so they would consider that was fine. They did fibre scans and everything was all good again. And I was thinking to myself, okay, that's fine. I don't feel any different, guys. Is there anything else you can do here? Because clearly the liver was not the problem. The liver was clearly a problem, but it wasn't causing me symptoms. It was just a side issue they happened to have found whilst looking for other things. And unfortunately, at that point, they basically just decided that, no, you're definitely fine. I'm like, I'm definitely not. You don't know how I feel right now, and I promise you, it is not fine.
No, you are fine.
Exactly. So I was just like, okay, fine. And so I left it for a bit. And then around about, and this is coming over to after Christmas now, I was just sort of losing a bit of weight and trying to see what happened. But I just had no idea what was going on with myself, because the doctors were basically, at this point, completely useless. They'd gone, no, we've fixed you. You're good. Meanwhile, I feel the exact same. And people had told me all sorts of things. People had told me it might be chronic fatigue syndrome. I brought that up with doctors and they said no. And I think that makes a lot of sense that it's not anything. It was nothing like that anyway. But at the time, it made perfect sense because obviously I was looking for something. And then it comes around to sort of April, March kind of time, right when I started doing Midtjylland. And when I started doing the Midtjylland save, I was suddenly hit by these huge anxiety attacks, basically. And I'm not an anxious person. I've always been the most laid-back person you can imagine, pretty much. And all of a sudden, when I was putting out these videos, I would get so scared every day, and I didn't know why. I had this horrible anxiety that would just well up in me, and it would just be there all day. And every single day, not every single day, but whenever I'd come to make videos particularly, it would just be there. And I could barely do what I had to do. And I had to sort of push on through and pretend that I was fine during the videos. But even sometimes, you could probably see at times, it was really hard for me to sort of keep that up. And I think I was probably a bit depressed, as you would imagine, after a year of being ill, but not knowing what the hell's going on with you and feeling a bit ignored by doctors. And so I booked an appointment to see a different doctor, thinking, you know what, maybe that guy was just an idiot. Maybe I just need to find someone that will listen and take in my sort of full set of symptoms. So I went to see a different doctor, and she said, she did some tests, and thankfully I managed to get my twitching symptoms actually showed up during the consultation, and she was able to actually see them, which was good, because at least then you can, it's still very well telling a doctor what's wrong, but if they can't see what's wrong, then it's really hard for them to, one, believe you, or two, do anything about it. But it actually happened during the appointment, so it was perfect for me. And she suggested some things to do with sleep and all this crap about sleep hygiene, which is, useful in that, but I wasn't sure it was correct, or for me anyway. And then she actually managed to refer me to a neurologist, and I was like, yes, get in there. I have finally got in with the people that might actually be able to do something to help me here. And then I got my letter through, booked an appointment with her. It's in August, but I thought, you know what, at least we've got the appointment. 2 weeks later, I got a letter through from the hospital, from the neurology department, saying that they'd cancelled my appointment because I quote, did not require one.
No.
And I was like, are you having a bubble? So, and then the message also to my doctor in that same message said, make sure he checks his caffeine intake. I'm like, are you for real? You think I've got this because I drink a cup of coffee sometimes?
Too much Red Bull for you, see?
I didn't even drink coffee at the time. And they knew that because it was in my notes. I drink coffee now.
It's drove you to it, has it?
I was just like, if I need to watch it, I'm going to take some. Is that what you meant by watching it? I was just fuming at them. And basically, that's where I left off, because I just refused to go back to see them, because they've all been so dismissive about it. And it seems I seem to hear more and more stories of people having these problems now, not specific to what I'm saying, but more like where they'll go and they'll just be dismissed instantly. If the doctor can't figure what it is in 10 minutes, they'll just be like, no, you're fine.
Look at Lelujo, classic example as well, him and his son. Do you know what I mean?
Precisely, yeah. And I've got 2 or 3 mates that have had similar problems. My friend's mum had a similar problem. She's only just now, after 4 years, being diagnosed with something that was caused by a really rare genetic trait caused by, she was descended from Semitic people from Lithuania and stuff like that. But obviously not suggesting anything like this is to do with me. But we sort of finally started stumbling onto stuff where at Christmas this year, I got a Fitbit. And just because I've been working out since sort of November, just trying to drop as much weight as possible to see if I get down to a really lean weight, whether that will have any effect on my health. Obviously it will make my health better, but whether it will have any effect on the way I feel overall. I'm not sure it does, but at the moment I've lost 3 stone, but we'll see.
Oh, wow.
But I bought a Fitbit so I could track that weight while I was cycling, because I do that thing where I cycle and play FIFA at the same time. It's good. It works. And
you cycle and play FIFA at the same time?
Yeah, I put an exercise bike in front of the TV,
Yeah.
FIFA on, play a couple of games of Ultimate Team, and it kills the time when you're cycling like crazy. Sometimes I can get through like 4 games.
Really?
Yeah, because your brain doesn't seem to click that you're exercising because you're concentrating so much on the game that the 20 minutes or so of the game will just fly by.
I'll have to try that,
I honestly recommend it to anyone. It's brilliant. You could, in an hour and a half, which is what it probably took me this morning when I did this, which obviously it requires a lot of time, but you don't have to do it as long as that. I'd probably burn like 1,500 calories. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I've never heard that before.
Well, I don't know why no one does it. It's great. You got a wireless controller. You don't need hands on an exercise. All you need is to be able to pedal.
I mean, obviously, when I used to go to the gym in my younger days, you had like the running machines and it had like a TV built into them.
Yeah.
But if you put a FIFA controller, you get so many more people going to the gym.
You have no idea how good of an idea that would be. And
I'm going to copyright that now before you try to steal it.
Anyone that's listening to this, seriously, if you wanted to drop some pounds, it doesn't matter how many it is, get an exercise bike. You can pick one up on Amazon for like 50 quid. Get one of those cheap foldable ones. That's what I've got now because I broke my other one. Too much usage, you see. Plonk it in front of the TV, pop FIFA on, play a couple of games of Ultimate Team. That'll take you like 40 minutes. And in that 40 minutes, you'll probably burn about 800 calories. So
we've gone from an interview to a Get Fit video. I like it.
I'm serious.
I like it a lot.
That'll be my new channel.
FIFA on a speedboat, FIFA on an exercise bike.
Can I win Division 1 or FIFA on an exercise bike? Because pretty much, I think 99% of the games I've played on FIFA 17 have been on that bike.
And how are you getting on so far?
I've been to Division 2.
Yeah.
That's the highest I've been. I'm Division 3 at the moment because it's really hard. I still haven't qualified for the weekend league once.
I'm in Division. I didn't play much. I'm in Division 5 at the moment, and some of the teams compared to my team are insane.
I do a lot of trading though, so to be fair, my team is what you would call OP.
My team is what you call shit.
I mean, no, it's seriously
OP. I've just sold all my team, and I've got 60,000 coins to buy a new team with Division 5. I'm not going to get very far with that. See,
I think if I sold my entire team, I'd have plus my transfer list about 2.7 million.
Who have you got then? Off the top of your head, who's your team? Do you know your first team?
Yeah, the current first team I've got Inform Ben Yedder, who is brilliant.
I've seen so many Ben Yedders on FIFA 17. Ben Yedder's everywhere.
He is amazing. I don't know what it is about him, and his inform's even better. Ben Yedder and Suarez, just normal Suarez. I can't afford anything more than that. He's decent. And then I've got Griezmann at cam because he works really well as a cam. He wasn't good for me at striker, but he's great at cam. And then we've got, who else have I got? Modric and Inform Kovacic, who is decent as well. Then that second Informant Zonzi, which is just a monster.
He's a beast.
He's so good. I'm thinking about upgrading to Casemiro though. Now that he's got that second Inform.
The new one came out. Was it this week?
Yeah, it's like 180,000 coins though, so I might have to save up for a bit.
I've just seen Bateson bought him today. 144,000 coins he bought him for.
He'll probably go down to about 120 by the weekend.
He looks awesome. I mean, I bought Sergio Gnabry the info for 45,000 for my Bundesliga team. Tried to take him 3 days later. 22,000 he dropped down to.
Yeah, it's just I never used to do that. I managed to snipe that Inform Ben Yedder at the time really cheap, even though it was the day he came out. And plus, he's been upgraded since, so he's worth like way more than I paid for him at the time, which is just luck, really. What else have we got? I've got team of the group stage Felipe Luis, who's a decent left back. There's Inform Inigo Martinez, who not a lot of people use, but he's a really good centre back. Although I might get that Inform Untiti. And what else is there? I've got a SBC Juan Fran as well. That they did one day during the Christmas period where they put a Juan Fran up. It's like an 85 rated version of his card. It's really decent.
85 rated Juan Fran, bloody hell.
It's really good. I've never seen anyone else use him though, and I don't know if it's just because people couldn't be bothered because they thought, well, it's only Juan Fran. He's such a good right back.
85 rated is insane.
Yeah, it's great. And I've got the team of the group stage for Iran as well, which is brilliant, and obviously just like a normal Keylor Navas.
So you've pretty much got a La Liga team then.
Yeah, no, I do full La Liga. I was going to do like a hybrid with the Bundesliga. I just couldn't make it work. And obviously, I've got a few players on the bench, like super subs. Like, I've got that Russian league striker, Giuliano, who's amazing.
Yeah.
The team of the group stage version, because he's just 5-star, 5-star. You can't go wrong with it.
I mean, my pack luck this year. I mean, I don't play FIFA as much now as I did in FIFA 16. I'm not really enjoying FIFA 17. No. FIFA 15, FIFA 16, I hated. FIFA 15, I loved. My pack luck of FIFA 17 has been all right. I got Neymar. I've got Inform Fekir or Fekir, whatever his name was. Yeah. Who else I got? I've had a couple. I've had a couple of like. I'll tell you who was insane, absolutely insane. man the match Mane when he was on
No
for
way.
Senegal. I basically converted to a left forward, played him as a striker, and he had like 92 pace, 82 finishing, and he was just absolutely smashing goals in left, right, and centre.
That's way better pack luck than I've had. The best, like, in terms of... I've packed a couple of, like, crappy man of the match cards when they were... During AFRICON, I picked up... Oh, what was it? I packed one of them. I can't remember which one it was. He was rubbish, and I sold it for, like, 9k.
You can discard him with that, can't you?
Well, I think it was a silver.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, it was 74 rated, so it must have been. And... No, I think I packed two. One was silver. I think I did get a gold one, but he was discarded, like, complete trash. Best... player I packed this year probably was I packed Nangolan.
Nangolan's a beast.
Only his like normal card, but that still sold for 115k. So I was
Really?
still pretty pleased with that. Yeah, at the time he did. I don't know what he's now. This was just after he got upgraded, I think. But that's the best I've packed. Like I've also I did pack a silver inform in a 400 coin bronze pack though.
Really? A silver inform?
Mbappe Lotan, the Monaco player.
Did you sell him?
No, I've still got him. He's worth 15k. For a 400 coin pack, I will take it.
So have you just got a La Liga team, or do you have any backup teams as well?
Just La Liga. I just open bronze packs and I get loads of fitness cards. So
I'll do. Is that what you do? You just buy bronze packs, yeah?
Every time I get a free moment when I'm just messing around with something, I'll just have FIFA open in the background, just not on like the console, just on the web app, just opening 400 coin bronze packs. If you open like 10 or 15 of them, you can generally get one or two of these squad fitness cards, which will get me through my exercise for the next day. So I've got like a bank of like 90 of those just sitting in the club now.
I mean, talk about computer games now. I mean, do you remember what your first ever console was?
Oh yeah, easy. Actually, it's not so easy now. Think about it. It was either a Game Boy Color or a PS1.
I love Game Boys. Game Boys are so good.
Game Boy was good, but getting it that day was a bit shit because my dad took me to Harlow to get it from Dixon's. Yeah, never again. And they basically had some deal on where you got the Game Boy and you got like 2 games for free. And then when we bought it, we got the box home and there was no games. And then they tried to claim that you didn't get games for free. And then my dad got in a huge argument with them and I was very upset.
Did you get your games free in the end?
No, they refused. They refused. And that's why I've never bought anything from Dixon since.
Nintendo, never again.
No, I was 10 at the time. Not bought anything 17 years later.
You've been scarred for life.
Yeah, mate. I hate that company so much.
Are they still in business, Dixon's?
Well, they had to change their name. They got merged with Curry's Digital, so they changed their name because Dixon's had such a bad rep.
Not surprising.
So now I just avoid Curry's Digital.
So what's your favourite console?
Oh, favourite console. Probably... I'm trying to think of I've had all the PlayStations.
Yeah.
And I've had Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, Game Boy, Nintendo DS, and all that jazz. But that's all I've really had as far as consoles go. So I don't know. Like,
you never went down the Xbox, haven't you? No.
Huh?
You never had an Xbox?
No. I've always been PlayStation. Just
one of those.
Ever since, like, I got my first console was a PlayStation, and then ever since I've just had like that kind of weird brand loyalty, I suppose. I could never get used to the Xbox controllers. Last time I used an Xbox controller, I was around my girlfriend's parents' house back when she lived in Birmingham, and I was playing Call of Duty with her brother and her dad, and I'm shit at Call of Duty at the best of times. I'm just rubbish at those types of games, and I just felt like I might as well have been holding a croissant in my hand for all the use it was doing. I just can't get used to the button placement at all.
I mean, I had a PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and I went from a PlayStation 2 to Xbox 360 because my friends had the Xbox 360. Gears of War had just come out, and all my friends were playing Gears of War online, so I got Xbox 360 purely for Gears of War.
I can understand that maybe if all your mates have got... That's the thing, I might have switched if I was in a situation where all my mates had Xboxes, but a lot of my mates didn't play consoles. Those that did had PlayStations, and a couple of them had like Nintendo stuff, but that was all kind of a very different type of spiel anyway. So I never really had that problem. A few years ago when I got my PS3, which was really late in the cycle, a lot of my mates did have Xboxes, and that was kind of shit. But now they've all got PlayStations again.
I mean, are you a PC gamer or are you a PlayStation gamer? What do you prefer?
I've got this PS4, but I only have like 3 games for it.
Yeah.
And one of them is my girlfriend's.
What game was that then?
Attack on Titan.
What's that? Never heard of it.
It's a game based on a anime.
All right.
Basically about, I don't even know. It's about these giant fellas who go mental.
These giant fellas who go... Sounds good to me.
That's what the tagline should say.
These giant fellas who go mental. Buy it now!
Ray Winston could do all the adverts.
So, obviously, do you play... do you play PC games at all?
Yeah, I mean, almost exclusively. The only time I really use the PlayStation is to play FIFA. I've got Battlefield, but I don't really play it. Most of the gaming that I do, which isn't... It's few and far between these days, is on PC because my laptop is a monster. So I finally got myself in a position. Last year I was able to buy the first new laptop I'd ever owned.
Really?
In my life, and I was like, right, and I got a good deal on this one. It was like 700, but it's got like an i7 and like a crazy good graphics.
That's the dream. I want an i7. That's my dream.
I couldn't believe that I got it that cheap because when I looked at the specs and compared it, I went to my dad and he was just like, yeah, that should be about 1,200 quid.
I've got an i5 and I'm dying for an i7. I'm dying for an i7.
This is a decent i7. I think it could be overclocked a little bit as well. Not that I would do that because it's a laptop and all sorts of problems. But yeah, it's got a decent graphics card, decent everything. So I was just like, right, I've got a decent gaming laptop now. I can actually play things on it. And so I did. Played a lot of Fallout 4. I was really late to the party on that as well, but I had a great time. I was playing a lot of that just after I finished FM YouTube, basically. I was like, right, I have this free time now, and I want to play a game. Let's play Fallout 4 finally. Got it on sale for like 20 quid. That was brilliant. But no, most of the time it's laptop games. So, I mean, I play a lot of Motorsport Manager lately. That is a cracking game.
That's very... A lot of the YouTubers are playing it at the moment. You've got Loki Doki, you've got Fox in the Box, and the Box plays it. So a lot of guys are playing that at the moment.
It's brilliant. Like, it's a couple of tweaks and additions away from being sensational. Like, really? The DLC they've released for the GT cars is makes it goes from a great game to a fantastic game. And there's a couple more things they could do that would take it from fantastic to unbelievable.
I mean, I've never so much as watched an episode of the... Because I'm not into cars in any way, shape or form. I've never even watched an episode. So I could be missing out. I just haven't watched it.
I think you would have to have a little bit of maybe interest in motorsport. I mean, me and my girlfriend are both huge motorsport fans. So,
really?
like, I mean, football was always one thing. But we go to watch, like, touring cars and we watch NASCAR on the weekends and stuff like that. So it's just, I've always enjoyed that kind of stuff. The day I found out she was into it too was a great day.
That was the day you decided you're going to marry her one day.
It was you're not far wrong. It was only like 2 years ago when this happened. But I randomly was watching this thing one day and she was like, "That looks really cool. Let's watch that together." And I was like, "You what?"
One day I will marry you.
Yeah, indeed.
So I know you're a football fan. I know you're also a Fulham fan for your sins. I mean, you're doing pretty well this season, 7th in the league.
Yeah, doing our best to balls it up.
Do you think you're going to up the season? I mean,
no, not a chance. If you'd have asked me a week ago, you'd have got the hell yeah. Unfortunately, since then we've drawn at home to Blackburn and lost at home to Wolves.
Oh,
so bye. Yeah, it was all going so fucking well, and then we just shat the bed.
Who's your manager, by the way?
Who's the manager?
Yeah,
Savisi Jokanovic, guy that took Watford up.
Ah, yeah.
He's a top bloke. He's doing we've got an identity. We're playing good football. Like, people often say that Fulham have been playing some of the best football I mean, the way we destroyed Newcastle the other week, just like played them off the park. We are playing some amazing football. It's just when we have to try and dig out a result, it just isn't there yet. And I don't think we'll go up this year. I feel like we might scrape into the playoffs, but it's going to require Reading or Wednesday ballsing it up, basically. I mean, we could have been 5 points clear of them both, or at least from Wednesday if we'd won those damn games, but we haven't, and that's all we can really do. But I just don't think we'll probably come 7th. However, we can keep some of the team and keep the manager and the ethos, then I think next year, with the right signings, we could be a proper contender for an automatic promotion spot. Then again, a lot of teams say that and then fail to do that.
I've been saying that Luton for the past 3 years, to be fair.
Yeah. At least you're back in the football league.
Yeah. What made you start supporting Fulham? Was it a family member or...?
No, see, my family's not really big on... I say they're not really big on football. My dad is Scottish, and he's not really... He loves football, but he's not a fan of a club, which is really strange. But, like, he really likes football, and he's played football all his life. But he never actually got around to supporting a team. Like, his family are all Hibs fans. So there's that. And my mum's a Palace fan. But my mum didn't really get into football until after I did. So at the time, like, I mean, I only started really liking football in like 2002. And I used to watch back when the ITV had the rights to the Premier League. And they used to show that with Des Lynam presenting it.
That was awful. That was awful.
It was terrible.
I used to play the U2 song at the start, didn't they?
Beautiful Day.
Yeah, that's the one.
It was just the worst. They used to play it when they did FA Cup highlights years later as well, because they just had to use that song somehow. And every week, I think this was during the 2003-2004 season, so it was a bit later actually. I would, or maybe the year before, I don't know, sometime around that time. Every week I'd watch Fulham and just think, they're a pretty cool team. Their stadium is rather cool, isn't it? Oh, look at that kind of kit. And I didn't have a team to support at the time, and I was like, you know what? I quite like Fulham, and I just decided that I would be a Fulham fan. And then, like, a lot of the time I didn't really feel like you could do that. Like, I feel like you can build an affinity for clubs, but I just decided, and then all of a sudden, like, 2 or 3 months later, I was just all in.
So our exclusive for today's episode isn't the fact that we found out why you've left YouTube, it's the fact that you supported Fulham because you like their kit.
It wasn't. I mean, fucking hideous. I've got one in my wardrobe. It's awful. Did you have it like 2 weeks later? Did
you have that? What's it? Stefan Marvar, that French bloke?
We had what's his name? Steve Marley.
That's the one, Steve Marley.
Paid a shitload of money for him, and he was crap.
He paid like £12 million or something.
Yeah,
stupid.
Sold him back to Marseille for like 400 grand. Probably the worst signing we've ever made. Other than Ross McCormack. No, I'm joking.
Did you ever see the Michael Jackson statue?
I wouldn't want to. It's just, it didn't even look good. Like, you know when you see a statue and you think, oh yeah, it's going to be like bronze or it's going to be like a nice... No, this one was like coloured.
It's awful statue. It's
absolutely
like
someone blown up a Warhammer version of Michael Jackson and put it outside the cottage.
It's like my son made it. It's really bad.
Oh, it's just...
Hasn't the statue got holding bubbles or something as well, or something like that? Am I wrong?
No, I don't think it did. I think he's holding a microphone in one hand, and then he's just got his other hand free. I don't know where the statue... I think it's gone back to Mohammed Al Fayed now.
I'm not so... What do you think of Fayed? Are you a big fan of his after what he did for you?
Yeah. I mean, when Fulham were bought by Fayed, we were, I think, 15th in the 3rd division, or would have been 4th division. No, 3rd division, because it was during the Premier League years. And the rise since then, okay, yeah, we've fallen a little bit now, but we're on the way back up potentially. It's still a hell of a lot better than what it was back in the early 90s. Fulham have, obviously, back in the 70s and that, we were a top flight team, but we had that huge, horrible spell where we were just absolute crap. And he did wonders for us, invested stupid amounts of money for us, and he did a lot for this club. And I think some people give him a hard time over things, but I think he's been brilliant, personally.
Well, like you said, the amount of money he's pumped into that club, Steve Marley's proof of that. Do you know what I mean? The amount of money he's paid out and played is insane. Some of it
back, but he's probably lost millions, tens of millions.
Did you ever play football as a kid?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I was a chubby ass kid.
Yeah.
And a chubby ass adult. But I went through a spell where I was like proper skinny at one point. I used to play a bit of football then, but I did like GCSE PE, even though I was hugely overweight. Bit weird, but I played a lot of football then because that's all we really did. Every single lesson, they'd just be like, "Do you want to play football?" I'd be like, "Yeah."
Do you still? I mean, to go back to YouTube, do you still watch YouTube or Foot Manager on YouTube at all? And obviously, my series aside, what other series do you watch if you do still watch it?
YouTube, yes, daily, constantly. I probably subscribe to like 200 channels, probably even more actually. I don't obviously watch all of them. FM YouTube, I didn't really even watch FM YouTube when I was making it.
Really?
Because I felt like the amount of time I put into making the videos made me not want to watch more of them. I could barely watch my own.
I watched it more during my I watched it more during my break than I do now. You're right, I'm like that. When I'm not making videos, I do get to watch it more because you're right.
I watched it before.
Yeah.
Before I was doing YouTube, I watched Workspace, obviously Jack, and I found out his name. It was Just Another Guy HD.
So his name was Just Another Guy HD. That was his name.
Just Another Guy HD. He was the first person that ever shouted me out on YouTube, and I used to watch him and Jack before I started.
That's a pretty awesome name. That's a pretty awesome name, to be fair.
Yeah,
Just Another Guy HD. I like that name.
Yeah, it was good. He was a good YouTuber. But I don't know. I just didn't at the time find time to watch FM YouTube because I've just had enough of playing the game myself. And since I stopped, I kind of just got sick of the game and didn't want to see anyone play it, let alone myself.
So what YouTube do you watch then?
There's a Swedish-American scientist called Simone Giertz who does these amazing, like, shitty robots. She's really good. What else we got in here? There's all sorts of, like, film analysis channels. There's FIFA YouTubers. Only a couple of them, to be fair. What else we got? Dashcam videos.
Well, like the Russian dashcam videos you get?
No, there's English ones.
All right.
They're far funnier just because every clip's just like, you tosser.
You absolute tosser.
It's the best.
Did you see the video today that was in the thing about that bloke riding that horse, Shamrock?
No, I hope that's going to be in a video soon.
That's a video. There's basically it's on the Metro website. You know, like how you've got that video where you go like Benson, Benson, with the dog chasing after the deers. It's basically this one is basically a bloke who's just bought an ex-racehorse called Shamrock. So he goes on the racehorse for a little ride, and basically the horse thinks he's back in the Grand National and runs off like a nutter. He's going, Shamrock! For fuck's sake, Shamrock! Slow down! And at the very end, you just see him fall off the horse. It's absolutely hilarious. I'll tell you what, watch that. My wife's like, what are you laughing at? I was like, I can't stop watching this video, man. It's amazing. It's absolutely hilarious.
I'm surprised that wasn't on the front page of Reddit this morning.
It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Do you do a lot of Reddit? Do you look at a lot of Reddit, do you?
Oh, yeah. Massive Reddit. Like, since, like, about June last year, when I finally just got into it and decided I'm going to actually set up my Reddit account properly and subscribe to the right subreddits and get everything nice and lovely. And since then, it's been a dream. Reddit's the best place ever.
I've never, ever really delved into it, ever. I just haven't.
It's just anything you see on most of these other websites, like 4 weeks later, was on Reddit 4 weeks earlier. It's brilliant. Like, some of the stuff you see in there, like that, you know, the clip a few days ago of the that BBC News interview with the girl in the background walking into the room.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that. When I saw that on Reddit, I saw that on Reddit first, and I just knew that was going to become massive.
There you go, boys and girls. Another episode done of Ben Meets with the absolute superb second yellow card. Thank you very, very, very much for coming on the show, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure of mine. It really has.
No problem.
If you want to say your goodbyes and give yourself a shout out with your social media, your YouTube if you want to, and all that sort of stuff, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, so, I mean, probably the best place to find me these days is Twitter, because that's the only place I'm really active anymore. And all of my Twitter stuff goes to Facebook anyway. So, so my Twitter is @SecondYellowCard, but there's no A in card, because Twitter. So, yeah, find me over there. Hit me up.
Well, you guys watching me, Ben DPB, thank you very much for watching today's episode. If you haven't already, why the hell not? Smash that like button. And don't forget either to tick that subscribe button so you never miss an episode of me, Ben DPB, playing Football Manager, and also waffling my arse off talking to other Football Manager creators. Then don't forget, Dioch.